Welcome, dear Sagittarius souls, whether you're a long-time traveler of the cosmic road or just discovering this little corner of the universe we call Zodiac Talks Tarot. If you've landed here, it's no accident. And if Sagittarius is your sun, moon, or rising sign, well, buckle up. In this rare prophecy reading, we're not just pulling cards. We're diving headfirst into a soul-aligned upgrade, and trust me, it's not for the faint of heart. This is the year of triumph 2025, and for those of you who've been feeling like something big is stirring under the surface, guess what? You're absolutely right. You're not just one of the many, you're one of the chosen ones, tapped on the shoulder by spirit to rise, evolve, and maybe, just maybe, laugh a little along the way. Now, before we get carried off by the mystic wind, let me say, this isn't your average tarot recap. I've spent more years decoding astrological archetypes and behavioral patterns than I'd like to admit, and probably more than I've spent finishing a cup of coffee before it goes cold. So yes, what you're getting here is not just insight, but experience. A blend of cosmic wisdom, psychological depth, and just enough Buddhist patience to remind you that even enlightenment has a sense of humor. We open this reading not with drama, but with grounded warmth. Paul, our guide through the cards, reminds us right off the bat, this is a general reading. But that simple reminder carries weight. It's an invitation to step into the moment, to trust your own inner compass, and to recognize that tarot isn't fortune-telling, it's mirror work. It's about presence. Awakening. And for Sagittarius, a sign known for its wild heart and wandering mind, this is crucial. Because the moment we pull the Princess of Swords, we see that archetype reflected beautifully. This card is your inner scholar, notebook always in hand, eager to learn, absorb, and dissect the human and heavenly experience. You're not just a seeker, you're a philosopher with a passport, always ready for the next download, whether it's from a travel blog or the Akashic records. So let this be your cue. This reading, this channel, this very moment, it's not random. It's part of your unfolding. And as we peel back the layers of this tarot spread, just know, this isn't about fixing your life. It's about meeting it head-on, raw, unfiltered, and blazing with the kind of fire only a Sagittarius can carry. Just when you think this reading is cruising along with intellectual curiosity and light cosmic banter, bam! Spirit throws down the Moon and Temperance cards like a celestial mic drop. And let me tell you, that combination is no coincidence. As someone who has studied archetypes, planetary symbolism, and the internal architecture of the psyche for longer than most people have kept a gym membership, I can assure you, this is big. The Moon speaks to uncertainty, the unseen, the terrain you can't rationalize your way through. It's that moment when the GPS goes blank and you have to trust your inner compass. And right beside it, Temperance, your birthright card, Sagittarius. This is spiritual chemistry at its finest, whispering through the ether, you were literally made for this kind of alchemical chaos. Now, here's where it gets juicy. Just a few frames later, in come the Sun, the Queen of Swords, and the Eight of Swords, and the message couldn't be clearer if it were tattooed across the sky in cosmic ink. You're on a journey from murkiness to clarity, but not the type of clarity you can get from overthinking or obsessing over YouTube pick cards at 2 a.m, no judgment, I've been there, too. This is intuitive clarity. Embodied wisdom. The kind that only comes when you walk into the fog rather than sit on the edge trying to Google your way out of it. Spoiler alert, enlightenment doesn't come with a user manual. And now deep breath, this is the part of the reading where I lovingly, but firmly, raise my voice. Do the scary thing. Yes, that one. The thing that makes your stomach flip and your inner voice suddenly go suspiciously quiet. The thing you keep putting off until you feel ready. Newsflash, your soul isn't bored because life is slow, it's starved for meaning, for momentum, for magic. It doesn't crave comfort. It craves transformation. And sometimes, that transformation comes disguised as a wildly inconvenient opportunity that scares the daylight out of you. But trust me, behind that fear? That's where your fire lives. Let's talk about that moment when you're standing on the edge of a new opportunity, a club, a class, a group, an idea, and your first thought is, what if this is just another dead-end commitment with bad coffee and worse conversation? Hey, I get it. I've been to enough spiritual retreats and team-building workshops to know the dread of small talk over stale cookies. But that's not what we're dealing with here. The Eight of Wands showed up in this reading, and trust me, this card does not do boring. It's the card of momentum, sparks flying, fast-paced energy, and things coming together so quickly you might forget your own name, or at least, the name of the person you just met 5 seconds ago. This isn't a quiet tea party. It's more like walking into a surprise birthday thrown by the universe, complete with metaphorical confetti and actual spiritual adrenaline. Sagittarius, this could be the most exciting thing you've stumbled into since you figured out how to pronounce Chiron, which, for the record, is Chiron, not Chiron, but we've all been there. Then we get to what I call the divine doorway. It may be metaphorical, sure, but let me tell you, its effects are very real. This is the sacred threshold where curiosity meets courage. You're standing at the edge of your own psychic forest, asking yourself, do I go in? Spoiler alert, yes. Always yes. Because here's the thing most people forget sometimes, you have to get lost in order to be found. That's not just poetry, it's cosmic law. The fog isn't the obstacle. The fog is the path. And Sagittarius, you're not the type to hang out in the parking lot of life waiting for a GPS signal. You were born to explore the trail, even if it's covered in symbolic vines and occasional existential dread. Now let's get real about that ache you've been carrying, the one that doesn't show up in blood work but keeps whispering, something's missing. That's the Five of Cups. It's not dramatic, but it is deeply human. A low hum of disappointment, a quiet longing for connection, for meaning, for something more. But right beneath that card lies your cosmic ally, Temperance. She's not just a vibe, she's your toolkit. The alchemist within you who knows how to take sorrow and shape it into strength. This is the inner you saying, okay, this pain has shown up. Let's do something with it. So instead of avoiding that ache, sit with it. Then stir it gently with wisdom, trust, and maybe a little dark chocolate. Because transformation, my friend, often begins where you least expect it, right at the center of what once felt like emptiness. Ah, here we go again. The Moon card makes another entrance, like that old friend who always shows up just as you're starting to feel confident. Except this friend doesn't bring wine, they bring doubt. That quiet little whisper in your head saying, but what if it's not worth it? Sound familiar? Of course it does. Because just when you're on the edge of something bold and soul expanding, fear comes dressed in logic and tells you to wait it out. But here's what decades of studying the Zodiac, Jungian psychology, and Buddhist philosophy has taught me: you don't wait for fear to dissolve, you leap through it anyway. The clarity doesn't come before the jump. It comes because of the jump. That's Dharma 101. Actually, more like lesson number 82, but who's counting? Now, the Eight of Swords is where things get, well, relatable. This card isn't subtle, it's a full-blown siren of overthinking. And Sagittarius, I say this with love, for a sign that thrives on movement, you sure do a lot of mental marathons. If I had $1 for every time a Sag overanalyzed themselves out of an adventure, I'd have enough to fund an astrology retreat in the Andes with vegan snacks and sound baths included. Spirit's message here is direct: stop spiraling, start stepping. You don't need to have every outcome mapped. You just need to move. Because that sword cage you think you're trapped in? It's made of thoughts, not steel. And even if it all goes sideways, even if you try the thing and fall flat on your cosmic face, guess what? You still win. Because self-awareness doesn't grow in the comfort zone. It grows in the messy middle of doing, failing, adjusting, and doing again. This chapter of your life isn't about perfection. It's about becoming your own myth in real time. Your own flawed, fiery, unforgettable legend. And legends, by the way, are rarely born out of safe choices. Just when the shadows of doubt start to stretch long, the Sun card bursts onto the scene like cosmic spotlight therapy. And Sagittarius, let me be clear, this card isn't just about happiness, it's about authentic radiance. It's your inner self kicking the door open and saying, "Can we please stop dimming the light just because other people forgot their sunglasses?" You were not born to blend into the background like spiritual wallpaper. You are not ambience. You're the headliner. The main act. And this isn't about ego, it's about alignment. Living in your truth isn't optional. It's your cosmic assignment, stamped and sealed by the stars. And let's be honest, when Sagittarians try to play small, it's not only painful, it's awkward. Like a centaur trying to fit in a smart car. Now, if lately you've felt like a star that's about to implode, welcome to the club. That kind of inner pressure isn't a sign something's wrong. It's a sign something's trying to get out. You have all this brilliance inside you, and without a meaningful outlet, it starts to eat away at your spirit. That's when burnout sneaks in. Or worse, you start to settle. And a Sagittarius who settles? That's not just a tragedy. That's astrological blasphemy. You weren't wired for lukewarm living. You were built for fire, for expansion, for high-stakes meaning-making. Enter the Eight of Wands in your relationship sector. Boom, sparks fly. You might forget names, it happens, but they won't forget you. This is fast-paced, electric connection energy. That moment where you walk into a room and things shift, not because you're trying, but because your energy is that magnetic. Be present. Let the fireworks happen. It's not a test, it's an invitation to belong without sacrificing your edge. And if you're thinking, but what if it's just more work? Here comes the Prince of Cups, handing you a cosmic latte and reminding you that being part of something doesn't mean losing yourself. In fact, true community is where your authenticity thrives. You don't have to be the solo act to be unforgettable. Even in a symphony, your note matters. And knowing you, Sagittarius, it's probably the one that steals the show. Let's be honest, Sagittarius, if your life were a book, it would never be filed under light reading. More like genre-bending adventure with a plot twist every Thursday. And right now, according to the cards, you've entered what I call your authorship arc. That sacred moment when the universe hands you the pen and says, "Go ahead, write your own damn story." And look, not every chapter will be profound. Some will be clunky, awkward, or let's face it, downright cringe. But that's okay. You're not just the main character. You're also the editor. So revise. Reframe. Rip out the pages if you need to. This is your legacy, not some hand-me-down script. And if you've been waiting for permission to break the rules, you've got it. From the stars, no less. Now, the final twist in this tale? The mystery card. And Spirit, as usual, isn't playing coy. It's the Eight of Wands again. When the same card shows up twice, that's not just synchronicity. That's Spirit grabbing a megaphone and yelling, "Go back. Do it again." You didn't miss it, you just barely scratched the surface. So if you tried something once and it didn't stick, that doesn't mean it wasn't meant for you. It just means you were on the first page. Repetition isn't failure. It's refinement. The second time you show up, that's where the magic lives. And finally, the closing message of this reading? It's about motion. It's about momentum. It's about living in real time, not just thinking about it. Life isn't some passive show you binge watch from your comfort zone. You're not here to spectate. You're here to co-create. So go write it. Rewrite it. Live the beautiful, chaotic, slightly unedited tale that only you can live. And if it gets messy, even better. That's where the soul growth lives. Sagittarius, this isn't just a reading, it's a cosmic call to action. You, my fiery friend, are one of the chosen ones. And in this year of triumph 2025, your purpose isn't to tiptoe around mistakes. It's to throw yourself into experience, to claim your joy, your sorrow, your weirdness, your brilliance, and to do it all with your light turned all the way up. Let the fireworks fly. Dance barefoot through your next plot twist. Laugh when the universe surprises you. And above all, don't wait for certainty to start living boldly. And hey, if all else fails, at least now you know how to pronounce Chiron. Baby steps. If this message lit something up inside you, do me a favor, like this video, share it with a fellow seeker, and subscribe to Zodiac Talks Tarot. We're building something soulful here, and you, Sagittarius, are absolutely meant to be part of it.